From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
All day long. There's going to be a lot of rain, potentially getting a short break in this afternoon hour. Moderate to heavy snow will also remain well to the north. The afternoon, we'll be watching our Storm Track 8 team, the chance of some isolated strong to severe storms. That's going to be south of I-70. The time frame for possible severe weather is going to be roughly noon to 5. The main threat, damaging winds, but you can't rule out an isolated tornado threat south of I-70. By tonight, some snow is possible closer to I-70 as the system tracks out of the state. The heavier rain is going to increase some flooding concerns. If you've driven outside today, you might have seen some of the flash flooding on the sides of the roadway. It's got to be really careful. From 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain could fall by tonight. Some places could see up to 3 inches or more. Indy's daily rain record for March 3rd is 2.01 inches. That's going to be in jeopardy, that record. Along with the rainfall, winds are going to be stronger with gusts from 35 to 45 miles per hour. Overall, just expect a pretty nasty day. Today, an outside company is set to begin sampling contaminated waste arriving at a Putnam County landfill. Governor Holcomb says Pace Labs will immediately begin looking for dangerous levels of toxins being shipped from the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. Holcomb has said he is disappointed the EPA chose Western Indiana as a location to deposit the waste. He wrote in a statement, "All of us can agree that we should do everything within our control to provide assurance to our communities. This testing is the next necessary step." And people living near that landfill tell ITMate they're furious. Our Cody Fisher went back to Russellville to hear their greatest concerns.
Protesters are here in Putnam County as trucks that are potentially carrying this contaminated soil are making their way into the landfill. These protesters are letting the company know they don't want this material in their backyard. ITMate saw several trucks going into the landfill today, but it's unclear if they had contaminated soil in them.
People have a profit!
The protesters told us they're out here because of their long-term concerns about the materials being in the landfill.
I just think about my children, our children, and the children of this community and how much this could affect them in the future.
The protesters told ITMate they're also concerned about the violations the landfill has that are listed on the Environmental Protection Agency's website, showing the site has been in violation for 12 consecutive quarters. A representative from Heritage Environmental Services addressed those concerns at a town hall meeting on Wednesday night, saying the violations are a labeling issue.
And that labeling issue was already addressed with Indiana Department of Environmental Management. And the reason why that shows as 12 consecutive quarters is until they close that out from a paperwork perspective in their office, they leave that issue as open on that website.
We asked the Indiana Department of Environmental Management for the full report of violations for the landfill. They told ITMate they're working to get that information to us. In the meantime, we talked to IUPUI professor Gabriel Filippelli, who's an environmental geochemist with experience in analyzing reports like the one showing the violations.
I would consider these low-level violations in that there's no money or punitive issues involved. And it's likely something that's relatively minor, in this case, whether it's a labeling issue or whether it's a safety protocol that's not all the way in place issue. It doesn't seem to be a major release of a toxin of any kind.
His only concern about the landfill?
Most of these landfill sites and these facilities do tend to experience some environmental leakages of some kind or another eventually. So although my concern wouldn't be for today, it might be for 10 years or 20 years down the road.
And it's our chance to finally be heard about.
The protesters told ITMate their community is being targeted because it's a poorer area.
It wouldn't be happening if we were in an affluent community.
Heritage Environmental Services says it'll take about 100 trucks to transport this soil here to the landfill, but they don't know exactly how long it will take to get that soil from Ohio here to Indiana. Reporting in Putnam County, Cody Fisher, Wish TV, ITMate.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to test until we get all the contamination going.
Norfolk Southern is apologizing to other angry people, this time in East Palestine, who say they're still suffering from illnesses nearly a month after the derailment. The community confronted the company at a town hall last night. They demanded to know whether they would be relocated from homes they're in now.
This has touched me on every level. This has touched my family. This has touched my friends. This has touched my farm. This has touched my animals. This has touched my finances. This has touched my home. And it will touch me to the cellular level when I get diagnosed with cancer, ALS, or whatever is going to come down the road if I stay in this contaminated, toxic town, and you all know it.
The CDC says it'll take about 3 weeks to fully understand the risk of chemical exposures. Federal investigators think the train's aluminum covers melted and dripped into pressure relief devices, making them less effective. They say that may have caused a breach in the tanks, releasing the toxic chemicals. The NTSB says it'll examine the train's pressure relief devices later this month. Sentencing is today for a prominent South Carolina attorney now convicted of murder. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours before finding Alec Murdaugh guilty of murdering his wife and son. Jurors heard from more than 75 witnesses and saw nearly 800 pieces of evidence. Murdaugh now could get life in prison without parole for each killing. Murdaugh's sentencing is set to happen at 9:30 this morning. Today, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita says he's going to court to protect children from TikTok. As we've reported, Rokita filed 2 lawsuits against TikTok in December. One accuses TikTok of disguising itself as a kid-friendly app. The other claims TikTok is stealing highly sensitive data from users. In a video message, Rokita said he'll ask a judge for a preliminary injunction and fines against TikTok. The app has faced rapidly growing criticism. Just this week, the U.S. government banned all federal employees from having TikTok on work phones. 2 men are under arrest for a murder case dating back a decade in Kokomo. Local police and U.S. Marshals took Joey and Jesse McCartney into custody yesterday. Investigators say the 2 shot Destiny Pittman to death in February of 2013. She was 21. Officers found her body at a home on James Drive near Lincoln Road. Police say a number of leads led investigators to the McCartneys. Both are charged with murder, robbery, and burglary. In a new filing, the Justice Department asks the court to let police officers, lawmakers, and others to sue former President Donald Trump over the Capitol insurrection. A federal appeals court is considering several private lawsuits against Trump for his actions leading up to the riot. Trump's attorneys have argued Trump is immune from lawsuits that claim he incited the January 6th violence with his speech before the attacks. If the court gives such lawsuits the go-ahead, those who sue would still need to show there was a direct and intentional call for imminent violence. Former Vice President Mike Pence says he'll make a decision about running for president by the spring. Pence reiterated his thoughts on the 2024 election in an interview with the Associated Press. He said, "I think we'll have better choices than Donald Trump." He goes on to say, "I'm persuaded that no one could have defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016 except Donald Trump, but I think we live in a different time and it calls for different leadership." Pence is widely expected to seek the nomination. Already in the race are Trump and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden's visit to Valparaiso has now been rescheduled to next week. Biden will speak Monday afternoon at 1 at Ivy Tech Community College. It's part of the traditional White House campaign blitz following the president's State of the Union. The First Lady was originally set to visit last month. Today in the war in Ukraine, President Biden hosts the leader of a key ally to talk about support for Ukraine. Biden and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have differed on how much military might to send. The Biden administration is set to announce a new package of military aid for Ukraine today. The administration says it's worth nearly $400 million. The package includes 8 armored vehicles that can quickly set up temporary bridges to let troops cross rivers, streams, and other gaps. The announcement comes after a meeting between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov yesterday. It marked the first meeting between the two since the start of the war. As more hopefuls go through drills at the Combine downtown, today you can too. This year's event includes a fan experience with a 40-yard dash, vertical jump, and an obstacle course. The Super Bowl trophy is there, as is the display of 56 Super Bowl rings. Today at the Combine, the goalposts get a workout as kickers work out. Other special teamers and defensive backs go through drills too. An iconic Indianapolis bar now has 2 new owners. It's the first ownership change in 60 years for the Slippery Noodle. This week, Jason Amonette and Seth Lothridge took over from the Yagi family. The new owners say they'll stay true to the legacy of the downtown fixture. Slippery Noodle opened as a roadhouse in 1850. It was a station on the Underground Railroad during the Civil War. Hale Yagi's parents bought it in 1963. Under their watch, it became a premier spot for blues. Amonette and Lothridge say they hope to bring more live music and add healthier menu options as well as expand the drink options. Number 1 seeded IU begins its quest to win the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. The Hoosiers play Michigan State at 12:30. Purdue is also alive. The Boilermakers survived a squeaker to advance. Jayla Smith buried a 3 with less than 10 seconds left in a 57-55 win over Wisconsin. The Boilermakers play again at 6:30 this evening against Iowa, ranked 7th in the nation. Purdue's men's team is celebrating this morning, winning the Big Ten championship outright. The team needed to win just one of its final 2 games to be the sole winner of the conference. Zach Edey pitched in another double-double, finishing with 17 points, 19 rebounds. Wisconsin had a shot at the buzzer, but did not go in. Purdue hangs on 63-61. Finished their regular season Sunday at home against Illinois. To the Pacers, the team will look to end the road trip on a high note after a bad loss to the Spurs. Point guard Tyrese Halliburton missed last night's game with a calf injury. Chris Duarte added 18 points off the bench. A big third quarter by the Spurs helped them pull away, though, winning 110-99. Pacers finished the road trip Sunday, traveling to take on the Bulls. Finally, to business headlines, the CEO of Kroger says shopping at the grocery can be up to 4 times cheaper than eating out. That's what helped grocery chain Kroger beat 4th fiscal quarter profit expectations and provide a full-year outlook that was well above Wall Street forecasts. The company said it had been focusing on improving its pricing relative to key competitors. Part of that investment in pricing comes from the personalization of coupons, which customers are using more and more. The average rate on the 30-year fixed mortgage jumped back over 7% Thursday, rising to 7.1%. It's according to Mortgage News Daily. Rates went over 7% last October. That was the highest level in more than 20 years. Apple has delayed the approval of an email app update with AI-powered language tools over concerns that it could generate inappropriate content for children. The app in question is called Blue Mail. The dispute shows the board concerns about whether language-generating artificial intelligence tools such as ChatGPT are ready for widespread use. A newly published patent application from Ford shows the American automaker wants to be able to lock drivers out of their vehicles for non-payment and even allow the vehicle to repossess itself. The patent document, attained by Drive, was published in February of 2023 and outlines different methods that would be taken if the vehicle owner misses payments. Among the possible consequences, disabling the air conditioning or radio, emitting an unpleasant sound, and putting the car in lockout condition, meaning it can't be driven. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York released a report on the labor market for recent college graduates and found that graduates who majored in chemical engineering were the top earners in 2022, making a median of $75,000 in their early career. Other engineering majors followed the trend. The lowest earning college majors were theology and religion, social services, performing arts, psychology, and leisure and hospitality. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.